Yo, what's happening, everybody? Today's Sunday, August 9th. Excuse me, I was going to say 19th. So it's time to shave. Today we're going to be going with, having used this one in quite some time, good old vetyver santal. I like this stuff a lot, actually. It reminds me of I have a bottle of one of the bee bottles, excuse me, of oh man, what is it? Guerlain vetyver eau de cologne. It's an old one from like the early 80s. And it was a lot more sandalwood heavy on the front. Or just, it had more sandalwood in it than the newer versions of the stuff. And I accidentally decanted it, excuse me, in a atomizer that had some Creed Bois de Santal, and the way those two mixed was perfect, and I ended up always just having a nice little a nice 10-ounce atomizer full of that same mixture. It's in Nashville, of course. I don't have it with me, but I miss that stuff and I like that stuff. Today's brush, we're gonna be going with Paladin Falstaff Disco Haze in finest. The razor is going to be Wolfman WR10C MK2. This is the more aggressive one. And the blade that is already loaded into it is a voskhod. Let's go ahead and get this show on the proverbial road. Excuse me. First go with this brush. But something tells me it's going to do just fine. Now, here's the thing about these Falstaffs. These actually are very much in the shape is very much like, so you can get a better idea of the shape and the contours and all that. It's very similar in shape to the older Simpsons chubby brushes. The handle shape is. The new ones are not as curvaceous as the older ones, and these are actually a little bit more comfortable to hold in the hand. This brush is kind of comparable to a Chubby 2. The handle's a little bit bigger. The knot is around the same size, but this is not overwhelmingly densely packed like a chubby brush is. They're pretty reasonably, they're well packed, but again, it's not like over the top density like a chubby, which is very kind of weird for a because, you know, of course these things have Lisa Beanie knots, Lisa Beanie of Morrison, Fordren, and Rooney fame. And his brushes tend to all be pretty densely packed. But, you know, these knots, I'm guessing Ken from Paladin requested that the knots not be so mega ultra dense, and Lee obliged. So these things, again, it's not super ultra like mega packed, because here's the thing, you know, for those of you that don't have, you know, brushes that are like hugely dense, there we go. The flow through is a problem. Flow through is a problem. The thing doesn't want to release lather. It ends up eating your lather and killing your soap. So ultra high density is not always the best thing in the world, but it's better than a floppy brush. That's for certain. Excuse me. All right. So here we go. Some of you may have noticed yesterday on like various social network platforms. Yesterday was the 8th of August, which is referred to as an 808 day because that is the date, 808. And you may not know what that is, an 808, although you probably do because, you know, lots of song lyrics reference the thing. But it is a drum machine that was made by the Roland Corporation of Japan. I still don't have the hang of this increased aggression wolfman. I need to spend more time with it, but honestly, I just don't need something this aggressive on a regular basis. So I don't get to use it as much as perhaps I should. And definitely as I should to learn its nuances and how it likes to be used. Anyway, so yeah, yesterday was 808. Like I said, that's a drum machine that was released by the Roland Corporation of Japan. Roland is just an electronic instrument, just music making implements of all sorts. The 808 is one of the big ones. There's three really big ones. The 808 is one of the big ones, and the 808 was definitely a boon to the first generation of hip-hop producers because, as Sir Mix-a-Lot boldly proclaimed, when he did in fact let you know that his posse was on Broadway, that the 808 kick drum makes the girlies get dumb. And 808 kick drum is something else, man. That's one of the big reasons that that machine enjoyed the popularity that it did. It also was big in house music and techno, dance music in general, but house and techno pretty specifically because those genres both they have big kick drums defining the beat. Now, like I mentioned, the 808 was one of Roland's three big ones. And by big ones, Roland actually, they manufactured a lot of machines that were a digit, a zero, and a digit, like the 909 and the 808, and the 303, which is the other big one. 707 was pretty big to a degree, but I don't think it really enjoys the universal acclaim that those three did, the 808, 909, and 303. The 808 was big in the creation of house and hip hop. The 909 was really big with techno. Not only because of the kick drum, which did sound a little bit different than the one in the 909, because techno has a different feeling than house. House was way closer to disco than techno was. Techno was just its own thing. Techno was its own thing, born out of Detroit, and the unique position that that city ended up finding itself in. So yeah, those were two big ones, and those were both drum machines. The other big one, and I did allude to it earlier, was the 303. Now the 808 and the 909, the full model numbers of those were TR-808, which those of you old school hip hop heads may remember from a D Nice record. The TR-808 is coming bright and early in the morning. Which I have to add is a hell of a way to wake up. But yeah, the TR-808, TR-909, both drum machines, both pretty revolutionary. Although I don't really think that they enjoyed initial success. I think it took a little bit for those ones to catch on. I don't quite remember though. I'm surprised I don't remember. My mind's just drawing a blank, I guess. I'm pretty tired. Brain isn't exactly braining like it usually brains. So yeah, there's the 808, the 909, the TR-808, TR-909, and then the third one, which I like a lot, was the TB-303. Now the 303 was more of like it was a bass synthesizer. Bass computer is actually what the front of the machine says. Its purpose was to accompany like drummers so they could have like a bass line or whatever. Also, if you guys don't have this soap, this vetyver santal, you're slipping. It's really good. I'm really getting the lemon on it right now, like big time. This is very much Morrison Foundry finest hair. Tips are very soft. They are hooked a little bit. Read into that what you want to. So yeah, like I mentioned, the 303 was a bass computer. It was made to accompany like drummers and stuff, or somebody with like a lead guitar that needed, you know, some bass. The problem with the 303, and by problem I mean problem, was that it sounded nothing like a bass guitar. The beauty of that machine is that it sounded nothing like a bass guitar. There were some parameters on the machine, on the 303, that you can adjust, you know, to shape the sound to what you wanted or what was possible with the limited capabilities of the machine. Excuse me. Go back to the puck here. I didn't load enough. So yeah, you know, you can adjust the the parameters of the sound to, you know, work with what you got. And wow, I loaded this for maybe like 2 more seconds, and that really is all that I should have done in the first place, because this thing is just teeming with lather right about now. So the machine was a bit of a flop. You know, musicians didn't really like it a lot. Again, it did not sound natural. So people started getting rid of them at reasonably cheap prices, which means that a group of kids generation of kids in the city were able to pick them up for a pretty decent price and start experimenting with them. One thing led to another, and I got a weeper. And a couple kids that collectively went under the name of Future found that they can really, really twist the sounds of this bass guitar machine and come up with a sound that really nobody has ever heard before. They released, or excuse me, they produced a tune called Acid Tracks. Acid Tracks is regarded as the first acid house record. I love acid house. But anyway, Future is, they put out that record, Acid Tracks. And it's regarded as the first acid house record. And I'll put a link to it down below so you can hear it. It's 11 minutes long. If you aren't familiar with the record, if you aren't familiar with acid house, you're probably not going to like the record, but I suggest you listen to it anyway. Again, just keep in mind that the main riff that you hear was produced by a machine that said it was a bass computer that was supposed to be like for drummers and lead guitarists to have like a bass line groove. It's absurd. But the sounds that they were able to coax out of these machines, again, it gave birth to a genre called acid house. The Brits, being the Brits, and always being overly concerned with what's going on with the black kids in the city in America, were really the first outside of the club scene in America to see the genius of this music that these kids were writing. Because, as always, America missed the boat on the music it created, just like jazz, just like house, just like techno, which, yeah, it missed the boat on those genres. The Brits, namely, picked up on it, and they were crazy about acid house. Damn, dude. I really need to learn my way around that razor, because I do want to keep it. Although I'm thinking it's blade choice, because it doesn't feel uncomfortable, you know? I just get these silly weepers. Anyway, so yeah, the Brits picked up on it, and they really took to it. They started writing their own acid house, which, knowing how I feel about dance music, particularly American dance music, you probably know how I feel about most English acid house, although there were quite a few good ones. Anyway, so yeah, acid house came from that 303, and a lot of them also used 808s and 909s as well for the beats, kick drums, toms. I mean, just the drum kit in general. Let me get some of this stuff back here. So yeah. There was another guy. So Future, you know, they were like the biggest, or excuse me, the first to bring acid house to the market. There's a guy called Adonis from Chicago as well who wrote an acid house record called No Way Out, which I absolutely love. It's one of my probably top 10 tunes of all time. And I'll link that one. I'll link that one in the description as well. This blade feels weird. I mean, it sounds like it's cutting. You guys hear it. I hear it. I don't know. I'm not going to risk it anymore, though. So, yeah. Adonis wrote the record. No Way Out, which was a big one. There's another guy as well called Armando. His full name is Armando Gallup. Rest in peace, Armando. He's my favorite acid house producer. My favorite acid house record of all time is called Downfall, and it is so good. Daniel Bell, guy from Detroit, is an acid master. There's also another label called Communique that released a lot of really good acid house records. And I'll link a lot of this stuff below. But anyway, so yeah. This is actually absolutely not what I intended to talk to you guys about today. But whatever, I figured I should let you guys know all that 808 stuff, 808 day stuff you may have seen yesterday. That's what it's about. The Roland Corporation and their drum machines that had a huge effect on music and how it progressed. And this is pretty much done here. And I think this is going to quit on me, so let me go ahead and stop and restart it. Word. Alright. Still quite a bit of lather in this brush. This, Disco Haze, I absolutely love this material. Yeah, so if you saw that stuff yesterday about 808 Day, hopefully, you know, you learned a little something. If you already knew it, thanks for sticking around. Also, speaking of thanks, I have a lot of people subscribed to my channel this week, which is cool. Thanks, you guys. I appreciate that. Hopefully, you guys will watch this one. Today's aftershave is going to be Barrister and Mann Cologne Russe. This is in the style of the old school Russian colognes. And cologne, in the strictest sense of the word, excuse me, is an eau de cologne. And doesn't really have too much in the way of fragrant ingredients, fragrance oils or essential oils, whichever the perfumer uses. It's actually pretty comparable in strength to what an aftershave should be. Generally somewhere around the in the range of 3 to 5% of the total liquid. And that's pretty much going to be it here. I hope that you guys have a good week. I hope you've had a good week. This is my last weekend of being this age. Next Saturday is my birthday. I'm going to be old. Anyway, I hope you guys have had a good week. I hope you have a good week. I hope you've had a good weekend. And I will more than likely see you next week. Peace, you guys.